The 24-hour news cycle in America has been absolutely flooded with pretty much everything that you can imagine just to deflect attention away from the chaos erupting from the files being released. But the truth is, since 2015, America has really suffered from a crisis of leadership, and this administration has done everything that it can to dissuade the American population of the competence of past administrations to make itself look good. But in recent polls show that of all the presidents the United States has ever had, the lowest rated on that poll was Donald Trump and President Joe Biden. If you've been paying attention, you know that last week on Truth Social, President Donald Trump posted a meme of the Obamas being depicted as monkeys on a video that went viral. And it really sparked outrage all over the world, as it should, because it really is a callback to not just the Jim Crow South era, but even back to the days of slavery in America, where Black Americans were compared to apes to legitimize the treatment or the mistreatment that they received here in the United States. But recently on Brian Taylor Cohen's show, President Barack Obama came out to address not only the meme, but the situation with many of the problems that Americans find themselves in under this administration. Let's have a look.
Just days ago, Donald Trump put a picture of your face on an ape's body. And so again, this is kind of, we've seen the de-evolution of right. The discourse. How do we come back from a place that we have fallen into?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction. But, as I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness. And there's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost. But the reason I point out that I don't think the majority of the American people approve of this is because ultimately the answer is going to come from the American people. And we just saw this in Minnesota, in Minneapolis.
The first thing I have to say in reaction to this is what a tragedy it is for so many young Americans never to grow up with a president who's as eloquent as Barack Obama. I mean, you can grade him on his politics however you want, but his ability to actually have a solid, coherent conversation that actually drives the momentum of a conversation forward, I find absolutely admirable. And America can certainly use a little bit of that now. But as far as the reality to what he's trying to say here, but I think he's too nice or too political to say it, is that since really 2015, kind of the darkest corners of America have had a light shown on it. And the people who used to hide in those dark corners, those that are racist, those that are sexist, those are any of the terms used to define the kind of people who come out and do things like posting these kind of memes, these people act without shame now. When I grew up in America, it was shameful to act that way. I mean, I grew up in rural America, and I specifically remember going to one of my friend's house, and his uncle lived next door, and we went in his garage, and when he opened up, it was just nothing but Confederate flags everywhere. Confederate flags and Klan stuff. And I had no idea how to react to that because I was young, but also it was so foreign to me. It was so taboo. But now it's not taboo. Now it's normalized. Now it's acceptable. Now it's just a portrayal of heritage, the negative connotation to almost half the country of these things, of these actions, of this old world way of thinking. This disgusting perspective from a bygone era isn't just allowed to run rampant in our society unchecked, but it's praised. It's legitimized on mainstream media. It's legitimized by large influencers in the media space. And there's never any accountability to this. I mean, if that would have been posted by pretty much any leader of a free nation in the Western world, they'd be removed from office immediately. But not in America.
So the rogue behavior of agents of the federal government is deeply concerning and dangerous. But we should take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary outpouring of organizing, community building, decency, citizens saying this is not the America we believe in, and we're going to fight back, and we're going to push back with the truth, and with cameras, and with peaceful protests, and shining a light on the sort of behavior that in the past we've seen in authoritarian countries, and we've seen in dictatorships, but we have not seen in America. And that kind of heroic, sustained behavior in sub-zero weather by ordinary people is what should give us hope. And it should remind us that at the end of the day, the way we get a democracy that's working, the way we get policies that actually are helping working families get ahead, the way that we restore norms, rule of law, decency, it's going to be because we, citizens, are activated and paying attention.
I think this also goes back to the last clip where he says that the solution is going to come from the people. And I have to 100% agree with him. But there's a negative side to that, and that's because there's no help coming. There's no true opposition to this administration. There's no true opposition to the crackdown on the American population. There's no real opposition to the fact that ICE has been flooding the streets and that deaths have resulted in their actions. And not just that, but a culture of fear that has taken over many parts of America as people have become accustomed to their daily life being checked by military forces, paramilitary forces. This isn't anything that's common. But like I said, there's no opposition to it. The only steady opposition that you're getting is from the American population itself. And I think that this is a real defining time for America, especially with this regard, because we have to ask ourselves what defines a people and what defines a culture. Now, I may just be a finance guy, but for the longest time, right, my studies have been in anthropology and archaeology. And I can tell you what defines a people isn't just the material culture that they have, that they leave behind. What defines a people is the differences that they can identify between them and other groups. And though that may be a dangerous road to go down, it is true. We're seeing two populations in the United States right now. We used to just consider it two political tribes, but I think it's gone beyond that at this point. It's two populations vying over control of the same space. And that solution, that way of winning, will have to come from the people. But thankfully, for those who actually see clarity and see sanity in challenging this kind of authoritative behavior, the numbers truly are on their side. And this is why the fear is so important. This is why maintaining the infrastructure of the culture of fear, either through mainstream media, either through government policy, through propaganda, through independent media as well. That's why this is so important to this administration, because as long as fear outweighs the consequences of revolution, revolution will never happen. But once it gets to the point where consequence of not pursuing that revolution outweighs any kind of fear, it's done. And that's when change actually happens. And the thing is, America is kind of custom built for this because we respect, admire, and try to attain through our whole work lives some status and kind of comfort in our lives, no matter how our community is, no matter how the rest of our family is, that we become entirely individualistic in our approach to society, to culture. And because the one thing that we strive for is a country that has no spiritual ties behind it anymore, really. The American people, especially those on the more desperate side, will always find themselves appealing to power because it's a hope and a dream. It's the American dream. It's the understanding that's been forced onto us, even though it's coming from a place of propaganda, like I said, that the American government will take care of the American people. But what we've seen over the past 15 years really is a complete degradation of that, whether that be through the monetary policies that have devalued American currency, that have had tariffs put on all imports coming into the country. And new studies have shown that 90% of those tariffs are actually borne on the shoulders of the citizens of the United States of America, or the fact that we've been having a housing crisis since 2019, 2020, and unaffordability in the home market has hit a point that it's essentially frozen out multiple generations of people in America. There's no upside here, and there's no support coming from the government. Even when Biden was in office, there was nothing that actually redirected the downward trend that the American people find themselves in as far as American stock goes. Now, was there a slowdown? You can argue that, but still it's trending down. That's why I said there's no real opposition. So the answer, like President Barack Obama just stated, is going to have to come from the people. And that's why you are seeing so many democratic socialists rise in public forums and in legitimate media. You're seeing the political outsiders become the voice of the people because it's the political outsiders that are the only voices of the people. But people are a lot more wary now because that idea of sourcing a leader from outside the normal political body is what led to Trump as well. This is going to have to force potential leaders in America in the future to really pursue and drive home the interests of the American people, the working class and middle class first, and not just the upper class, not just the wealthiest class of Americans. Because as long as that narrative thrives, as long as that culture thrives, that drives economic progress in the direction of 1% while leaving out the 99%, then America will continue to decline. But as we've been saying for quite some time now, the American people are on the precipice now. And many would say that we've already crossed the point of no return to an American collapse. And with the ostracization and the fortification of North America by this administration, the American people are finding themselves more isolated. And the more desperate they become and the more authoritarian this administration continues to be, the likelihood for some kind of popular uprising in the future does increase.
When I was president of the United States, I suppose I could have simply unilaterally ordered the military to go into some red state and harass and intimidate a governor there, or cut off funding for states that didn't vote for me. I could have exercised that prerogative, but that is contrary to how I think our democracy is supposed to work. And I think we shouldn't get discouraged by the fact that we have a tougher job. What we should do is expect that our side is smart enough to figure it out.
I have serious problems with the two-party system here in America, and I do tend to look at it as more of a uniparty. And I know that that does draw a lot of blowback on me, but the lesser of two evils, I understand that argument. The thing is, how do we, the American people, the future government, how do we protect the American people from having this happen again? And that's the real question. Because after this administration, a great deal of reform is going to have to be had in the United States. There's going to have to be amendments made. There's going to have to be serious policy changes to address many of the problems that we have in the United States that have not just been ignored, but have been completely neglected. The fact that America right now has more childhood food insecurity than at any point since the Great Depression shows the lack of care and attention that's going to the future generations. Not only is it a population that's been completely despoiled of any kind of generational wealth through the consolidation of the massive amount of wealth by the wealthiest class of Americans, The real question is, what America are we going to be when this is over? What comes next? What does the future look like? What does our diplomatic position in the world look like? Do we have any soft power to leverage anymore as we continue to lose our influence around the world with our former allies at this point? How does America turn it around and recapture some of the shine that maybe it used to have? America has to enter a period of radical positive change, a kind of reform that is a renaissance to the founding ideals of what America was supposed to be, what it's meant to be, and what it has the potential to be. This is still a special place. It's just been hijacked. It's ran by robber barons who have weaponized the less intelligent in this country to support them no matter what. And we're seeing that right now with the files that have come out, the thousands of victims that span over decades. Nothing's being done. There's no justice to be had. And that's another question for a video that's coming out tomorrow. What happens after all this when there is no justice? What happens when there is no charges? What happens when all these people whose names we know get to walk free? What happens to an American people who finally realize that their government will never offer them the kind of justice that they need? That any kind of decision or charge made by not just this administration, but the government as a whole is solely symbolic as to lower the tension, lower the mood in the room. What happens then? And that's something definitely to think about. But President Barack Obama, love him or hate him, really makes you nostalgic for a different time, in my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree with that. The man definitely wasn't a saint. He definitely had a lot of issues, especially in my opinion, with the drone strikes. But in comparison to what we have over the past 11 years at this point, it does make you wish for the better days. But food for thought, everyone. Take care.